When young girls see you race, what do you hope that they take away as being possible for them?
When they see women astronauts and they see women CEOs and women engineers and women over the wall changing tires. Like me, like racing, what it does is it subconsciously reinforces the belief that they can be anything and do anything. You can't rush it any more than you can in anything in life. You have to go through the process. It's like if you try and build it too quickly or you don't build it on proper solid rock foundations, then it can all crumble around your ears. So you need to make sure that the seeds you are planting right now are well nurtured and looked after for the future. You can win them over. And you're never going to win everybody over. Um, but all you can do is be, again, it's out of your control. You can be the best version of yourself that you can be. And if they don't like you, it doesn't really matter.
We're here today with Katherine Legge, who is a professional race car driver from Britain. She's raced in the IndyCar and NASCAR and Le Mans and so many more. And what you do in a sport so dominated by men is really inspiring, I think, to women and to young girls, especially who are trying to compete, in football and all of these different, sports that are so sometimes even toxic masculinity in them. So what you're doing is just really groundbreaking. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on. And I appreciate the kind words. I don't know how groundbreaking it is. I'm just trying to be me. Um, I think that all environments can be toxic, whether they are male or female based. I don't necessarily believe in like toxic masculinity. I think women can also be
Yeah,
just as bad as men can
that's
be.
true.
So, I've just tried to forge a career in racing, which is predominantly male dominated, and it is difficult, but I was brought up to believe that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And so I very much firmly believe that there are no barriers physically or mentally in racing to women. The only barriers that may exist are to getting good equipment and to getting teams and manufacturers and people to believe in you. So I think that there is a lot to be learnt from a sport where it's really, I think maybe horse racing's the same. It's
Mhm.
really the one of very few that women can compete on an equal playing field. And so when you look at other sports, they're predominantly all female, like basketball, baseball, football, whatever it may be. This is very much, mixing it with the boys, and I am totally against segregation, and I don't think that there should be women-only leagues for racing because there's no reason why we can't compete.
Mhm.
So maybe it's a different conversation, maybe it's a different kind of perspective than coming at it from being part of a female team. But I think everybody is trying to do the best that they can with what they've got, right?
What do you think keeps more women from entering into this space?
Um,
And is it changing? Are
it's
more women?
changing.
It is.
Yeah, it's changing. I think it's just changing with the times. There are more women CEOs, there are more women running countries. It's just times are changing. And like I said, there's no physical reason why you can't do it. I think the finding money to be able to race is very
Mhm.
hard, whether you're male or female. I don't necessarily think it's any easier being female, although there is a different demographic that you can go after sponsorship wise, as proven with Elf Cosmetics
Yeah.
and my partnership with them. That's been astronomically huge and very meaningful to a lot of people, men and women.
Hmm.
The guys with their daughters or their wives at the racetrack that are now interested in racing, they think that it's cool too, right? Because then they
Right.
have race fans in their family that they can support. Um, but I think it's changing over time because more dads are bringing more of their daughters to the racetrack,
Yeah.
and girls are seeing more women racing and more women in the pits, more women being engineers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just, yeah, times are changing, and we will see in the next decade or so, hopefully a snowball effect of more women taking up racing if they so choose, if that's their what's in their heart.
Was there a specific moment in your career when you realized, like, I can do this at the highest level of
No,
competing? Did you just
no,
always believe that you
no,
could, no? What
no.
happened that you got here?
I just kept trying. I didn't really think it was possible. I didn't really think it wasn't possible. I didn't really think about it in those terms. There was nobody doing it, female wise, at
Yeah.
the top level. I wanted to be an F1 driver. I didn't think that I couldn't because I was different, but I also didn't think that I could because I didn't have the money. We didn't have the connections, a myriad of different things. But again, I think that if you believe in yourself and you never give up and you keep trying and you really, I mean, okay, a little bit of trying isn't the same as like dedicating your whole entire psyche to it,
Hmm.
living, breathing, dreaming. Um, I just kept on keeping on, and I thought, well, if I aim for the stars, then something will come of it, and that's basically what happened. I just willed my way in.
Was your family like really instrumental in building this belief in you, in yourself, or how did you form such a, belief that you could keep trying, that you could succeed? Because that's really hard for,
I mean, of course, it's
people.
family. You spend the majority of your formative years with those closest to you, and I was very lucky that I got allocated a good one.
Yeah.
Both my mom and my dad in different ways are very supportive and very, yeah, like invested, I would say.
Mhm.
My dad loves racing. He comes to all my races. He and I have been very close since I was very young. My mom has kind of like been the backbone of the family in terms of keeping everything running at home and
Yeah.
hasn't ever said, no, don't do that. She thinks it's noisy, smelly, dirty, and dangerous and doesn't understand why I do it and would probably
Well,
rather I didn't.
that's true too, maybe sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah. But she's very supportive of it and she lets my dad come out to all the races and everything too. So she's as important as he is. Um, but also I think a lot of it is a lot of it is mental. A lot of it's in you. I used to call my dad's talks with me lectures, but really they're kind of like setting you up mentally
Hmm.
um, for success. And it's important. And I think, who you surround yourself with when you're young and you've got friends and you've got school and everything else is also super important.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I'm at a go-kart race when I'm 9 years old and I'm winning, that breeds a certain amount of confidence in you that you can do the hard things,
Hmm.
whether that's at school getting good grades, on the racetrack winning races, whatever it may be, really, at playing basketball, baseball, netball, whatever. If you've got tennis,
Yeah.
golf, and it doesn't matter if you've got a winning mindset because you have won and you know you can win and everybody else is believing in you.
Hmm.
Even this morning I had this conversation with a different team owner, and I said, "Oh, I haven't been to the gym in like 3 or 4 weeks because I was sick in Mexico
Oh.
and then I got COVID
Oh no.
and it's going to be really hard and blah 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 blah." And he's like, "No, this is the way you should look at it. You should look at it like I'm going to give it my all, and whatever that is, I know I've got something to build on for next time." And I'm like, you know what? Even now, at my age, I'm still learning these like little mental switches. So I
Hmm.
think that's super important. And so it's very important to have a family that is invested in you, that is teaching you these things.
Do you have like a mental mantra or ritual that you do before starting your races, or how do you get into that mind frame?
I don't really. I have habits and stuff that I formed, and I
Hmm.
do visualization, and I've worked with a lovely lady called Gloria Budd out of England, who is a mental coach and has been instrumental in helping me in my competitive mind, I'd say, and
Hmm.
outside of that, but especially in how you how you train your brain to think, because your brain is a muscle too. It's much harder to train than your body is because you revert to type a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Like you go to the gym and you can hold on to that muscle for a couple of weeks before it starts to atrophy. Your brain, like it will go back to form pretty easily. And
Hmm.
I'm constantly working on myself, whether that's in my personal life, my professional life, whatever it may be. It is a daily mental battle to try and catch yourself and switch your thinking up and try and be the best version of yourself that you can be.
I think I have anxiety. So I like work with people, trying to help that piece. And it is so you're like in a great spot 1 minute, and then it can be like 10 minutes later and you've reverted, back to this other way of thinking. So I can see that um how that could happen with racing. But how important do you think is visualization? You hear like especially with sports that people do, in tennis, they visualize like winning the game and all of this. And what is it exactly?
So for us, it's important because we don't have practice. Like you go golfing, you go tennis, you practice, you practice, you practice. We do
Yeah.
it in the sim, and the sim is kind of a form of a visualization, I guess. But really, like watching video, watching old races, visualizing things, it's if anything else, it makes you feel confident because you are as prepared as you possibly can be.
Hmm.
Um, And it also helps the familiarization when you're on track because we don't get tons of practice, especially in NASCAR. We get 20 minutes if we're lucky and it doesn't get rained out. So it's super important to be ready to make the most of the time that you do actually have on track. And
Hmm.
so things like visualization and sim and video really help that.
What do you tell yourself in moments after you've had setbacks and you've like, are being underestimated and
I
all of
don't I don't have a particular thing. I think it depends on the situation, but um I will close out the rest of the world, and not listen to the noise, find my inner peace, and just keep on doing the things that I know to do, and keep on keeping on and keep on giving it my all. And then what will be, will be. Like I can't control what I can't control, what's out of my control, right? So
that.
if you focus on all the things that you can control and you do the best job of being the best version of you in all those ways, then you shut out the noise. That's all you can do. I don't have any like look myself in the mirror and say, you can do this, you've got this, don't listen to them or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of close all the way down, pinpoint and laser focus on what I can control and just have a deep-seated belief that I will dig out of it because I always do. I also think with age comes wisdom
Hmm.
and the setbacks that you face are way less dramatic and emotional as you get older. Because you look back and you think everything bad that's happened has that actually led to something better or something different. And it's not the end of the world. When you're 16 or 18 and you're racing and you have one bad race, it's like, oh my goodness, the whole world is ending. What am I going to do? Um, but now, you get better at riding out the bumps too and just getting to know yourself better because it's kind of a journey of self-discovery as much as anything else.
And then how do you think women in motorsports are judged differently than men? You've had some negative experiences, to put it mildly.
I think we're judged differently. I think because we stand out, because we're under the spotlight more, because we're scrutinized more, because of conditioning of how you grow up. You know, you see it with young go-karters. When I was little and I was 9, 10 years old and I was racing, like the kids didn't care that I was a woman, or they don't care if you're white or black or Chinese or, you're just another driver to them. But to the parents, it's like, oh my gosh, you got beaten by a girl. And
Yeah.
so that kind of conditioning maybe makes them think about me differently. At the end of the day, no woman has ever won in what I'm trying to do. We had Michelle Mouton who won championships in World Rally, and she is the biggest badass in the world. If you look at it, like she's the only woman who has won on a global stage in the toughest competition in the world. Um, and apart from her, nobody's won races in NASCAR and gone on to win championships, and same in IndyCar, really. There's not been any women competing week in, week out. And then I don't know whether they've been given the best equipment or not either. I know Danica had some good equipment and Simona at times,
Mhm.
but I think unless it's proven to you, maybe you doubt it a little bit. I don't know. I think you can do people, there's two types of people, right? There's the people who are glass half full, and there's people who are glass half empty and that are jealous of what you're trying to do, or resent it in some way, shape, or form. And then you got the people who are happy for you and think that it's cool, and like their default is, okay, let's see. So it's the same in anything. It's the same in any sport. It's the same in any business. People think differently. If we're all the same, it would be boring. And I, when I first kind of made it as a professional driver, I tried to get rid of all the naysaying people around me.
Mhm.
And that was a big mistake, because what I should have done is tried to change their minds and have them on side, instead of surrounding myself with people who told me what I wanted to hear all the time. And so I realized pretty early on that not everybody's going to be on your side. Um, and it doesn't matter as long as their objective is the same as your objective.
Hmm.
You can win them over, and you're never going to win everybody over. Um, but all you can do is be, again, it's out of your control. You can be the best version of yourself that you can be. And if they don't like you, it doesn't really matter. It matters more if it's people whose opinion you respect.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if if Roger Penske sent me an email saying that I was rubbish, it would definitely affect me more than thousands of fans saying the same thing.
Mhm.
If somebody knows what they're talking about within your space, within your sport, within your business, and they're telling you to do things differently, it's very much more a different conversation than armchair enthusiasts on a Sunday that have not sat in your shoes and don't know behind the scenes what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, but again, with the positive stuff, it makes you feel good, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because you really just have to keep laser focused on you doing you.
Have How important do you think it is to be bossy? And in that, I mean knowing yourself and and putting yourself forward in these situations. I read about this story when you went to an office to meet with someone and they sent their daughter out to meet you instead.
Right. Well, I
And
did.
then
Yeah, they Kevin Kalkoven was in England buying Cosworth, which was the Ford performance brand.
Mhm.
And actually, his daughter and his wife happened to be passing the reception that I was waiting in. He didn't sort of send them
Oh,
out,
okay.
but um, yeah, I mean, that would have happened to anybody, whether I was male or female. That I don't think was anything to do with being bossy or being discriminated against in any way, shape, or form. It was just a form of like, who is this weird human sat in my waiting area waiting to see me when I don't have an appointment and I'm here doing a multi-million-dollar deal.
Hmm.
Um, So I think that's gutsy and
Yeah.
that's being comfortable being uncomfortable because that's how you get noticed and get opportunities is if you create those opportunities for yourself. And I think it's easy to get too comfortable and then not do that anymore as well. So you have to be careful of that. I've been in that trap.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I don't I think bossy sometimes is looked on with a negative connotation,
Yeah.
and so is assertive when it comes to being female. And sometimes I find myself having to go over the top with, and it comes off maybe as a bit snotty, to get my point across because people aren't listening to me. But then I don't know whether that's a chip on my shoulder because I'm a woman or whether that's a chip on my shoulder because I'm new or, I mean, it depends, I guess. There's been times in sports cars even where I've said something to my team that I know to be categoric fact about the race car, and they still question me.
Hmm.
And I've seen that with other drivers. I don't know whether that's because I am a girl or not, but with some people it is, and with some people it isn't. And
Hmm.
so you can't look at it like that. You just have to go into it and be firm and believe in what you're saying. And I don't know that it's necessarily bossy. I also don't know that I'm the gold standard when it comes to leadership and being assertive and bossy, because being a race car driver, you don't have time to think about people's feelings and how to put things. And I am definitely not diplomatic in any way, shape, or form. So I just get my point across.
Yeah.
And in everyday life, that is probably not a good way of doing it, but that spills over from my racing into everyday life because in racing, you just need to do it as fast as possible to get the result as fast as possible. So
Yeah.
it's a different psyche than having to work with people day in, day out and try and lead them in another way.
Yeah. I can see I'm from New York originally, so I'm blunt, we should say maybe. Or I heard someone say radical candor, and it's just being, very straightforward. And I can see that with racing when you're trying to get into the pit and all of that, that you can't sit down and have a lovely conversation with someone about something. How do you channel pressure into performance? I can't even imagine going at the speeds that you go. I get nervous on the highway sometimes, so it's like that's crazy to me what you do. So yeah.
I don't think I do channel pressure into performance. I think you manage the pressure and you manage things mentally, and the performance comes. I don't think that you use it as fuel for your
Mhm.
performance. Some people say they perform better under pressure. I think in racing, there's always pressure. There's pressure of losing, there's pressure of crashing, there's pressure of your team not being behind you. I mean, there's so many different pressures that you, again, you just do the things that you can control and do the best that you can do, and what will be will be. Um, I think you just get used to managing it and you just get used to what that feeling is like. And I guess it's in some ways it's a bit like living with anxiety in that you learn to recognize it and acknowledge it and
Mhm.
compartmentalize it and like you can use it as motivation, I suppose, in a way, but I don't really. I just kind of put it to the side.
Yeah. And when young girls see you race, what do you hope that they take away as being possible for them?
Um, I f I hope that they feel represented in a way, and that I'm proof that you can be anything that you want to be, do anything that you want to do. Whether they like me, like racing, like elf, like whatever, however they feel about those different subjects, it doesn't matter. I think that when they see women astronauts and they see women CEOs and women engineers and women over the wall changing tires, what it does is it subconsciously reinforces the belief that they can be anything and do anything. And I think that that is important if you weren't as lucky to grow up with a family like mine. And even if you were, if you see it, you believe it.
Yeah, my daughter loves Elf, so she was so excited about me speaking to you today. And she plays tennis and does gymnastics. Um, both are kind of solo sports like race car driving. And how do you like you also have a team backing you, but it's just you out there doing
Yeah,
it.
it's a bit like being part of a band, right? Like you're the singer.
Yeah.
But nothing happens without your
Yeah. That's a
team.
good way to say it.
So, um, I couldn't do it without my spotters, without my crew, without my crew chief, without my sponsors, without, it takes a village. So, I may be the front man, but and the spotlight is on me, which means when I do well, then I get more of the kudos, and when I do badly, I get more of the opposite. But at the end of the day, we all win and lose together. And I
Hmm.
think the team is massively underrated in racing. If you're on a good team, it means that your life is a whole lot easier. And a good team could be good in terms of performance, in terms of um, like the ethos, in terms of so many different things. And that team is basically the biggest factor, determining factor in your success.
And then to close it out, I was wondering like what's the what's the biggest factor do you think in being able to perform well at such a high level? Like you just said, the team, of course, but like for yourself, is it
Yeah.
the
Well,
mental piece or is it the
it's everything. Physical leads to mental. If you're physically in good shape, you believe in yourself more. Um, but it's everything. You don't start off at the highest level. You start off and you work your way up. So you determine the belief in yourself and the mental things and the physical things like while you're learning. And it's a bit like going through school and college. You don't go and do your final year in university and try and get a degree.
Mhm.
First, you work your way through school and high school and college, and then you go on to university. It's the same with racing. Like you have to keep building one block on top of the other, and then in every aspect, in confidence and in speed and everything slows down, and you're capable of tackling whatever is thrown at you.
I'm gonna have my daughter watch this because she wants to know how to do everything right now, like back handsprings and all this. She's like, why don't I just know how to do it? I see other people doing it. And I think that's so important that it does take steps and it takes time to get
Yeah, it's a
to,
process.
yeah.
And you have to build the right foundations. Otherwise, it all crumbles. Like if you try and build it too quickly or you don't build it on proper solid rock foundations, then it can all crumble around your ears. So you need to make sure that the seeds you are planting right now are well nurtured and looked after for the future. You can't rush it any more than you can in anything in life. You have to go through the process.
And I really appreciate that you talking about the mental piece to it as well. I think I have things to transfer over to my own life with anxiety and how you deal with pressure, and performance and um, being in the right headspace when you go out and race. I can see that making a big difference in a race. If your mind is like in the right
Got
place
to
or
be
if
right.
you're, yeah. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for
You're very
joining me
welcome.
today. I really appreciate it. I know it was a bit tricky because you've been extremely busy. You just had
Extremely
a
busy.
race on Sunday, was it? Saturday?
I had a
Sunday?
race on Saturday and a race
Yeah.
on Sunday. I did double duty this weekend.
Yeah. Um, and so it's a little tricky to catch you actually home. When's your next race?
Not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure to watch. So thank you again, for
Thank you,
joining
Catherine.
us. Have a
Take,
wonderful rest of your day.
take care.